Warning, this video contains copious use of pickaxes as swords. Java is the version of Minecraft to speedrun, or it used to be until 2020 when Bedrock really exploded in its speedrunning scene. However, due to seed limitations, it has always been slower to beat the game on the Bedrock version. However, this new near-perfect run means that both Java and Bedrock have been beaten within a second of each other. This record is so close it genuinely starts a dispute about how timing should even be done, and whether Bedrock or Java is really winning this platform war is up for debate. It is so close that I think you have to see both runs to really know which version of Minecraft has been beaten better. Is it Bedrock or is it Java? The fact that this is the same version of the game with the same objective of killing the Ender Dragon, and yet the runs could not look more different, is proof that Minecraft really is two games that just happen to share a name. And let me show you how different the speedrunning is between platforms. Here's the weird thing, right? Minecraft, Java, and Bedrock seeds have been equalized for everything besides structures, and so even though they could use the same seeds between platforms, neither version chooses to use the seed from the other one. However, even though the actual seeds are entirely different between platforms, the actual basic idea is still the same. Utilize a village, which is Minecraft's most powerful structure in terms of resources, because it has obsidian, it has beds, it has even the mighty iron pickaxe, and it's gonna give you all of the stuff that you need. However, the differences start to diverge pretty quickly. We'll start with Bedrock first. You'll notice that the village here is a tiger village. This has a higher rate of blacksmith chests, which are incredibly important on Bedrock, whereas even though they happen on Java, there is much more emphasis placed on finding a ruined portal. This was a really useful recent development for the Java world, and it means that now, instead of relying on a 1 in 10 chance of punching gravel and hoping that flint comes out, instead flint and steel is reliably found inside this chest. None of this is important on Bedrock, although the colored beds are a nice benefit, because all that is needed is the obsidian, which is placed like so, and then using wood can actually cause the lava to spread fire to the wood, and that fire can spread to the portal. This is a weird Bedrock mechanic which works out heavily in its favor, whereas the Java equivalent run for the overworld, as you can see, there's much more scattered running around, and although time is saved with not having to place so many blocks of obsidian for the portal, it really does take a little bit of extra time to get here, as you can see from the timer on both versions. Going to the Nether is just easier to do on the Bedrock version of the game, which is why there's a 10-second discrepancy even between the world's best run for both platforms. But obviously, the question now is how fast can they both get the blaze rods that are so important for that world record run? So obviously the seeds for both versions are actually optimized for the Nether and the End, but on the Bedrock version you're going to see how this is one of the best Nether spawns you can imagine, being right on top of the Nether fortress. Then killing a single blaze means you have a 50-50 chance of getting the only blaze rod that you're going to need, and then getting straight back into the overworld by 36 seconds. This is only 4 seconds after the Java edition has gone to the Nether, so how fast are they going to do it to even make this close? And as you'll notice, this title of Blaze Rod is a little bit misleading, because on the Java edition, instead of spawning directly on top of the Nether fortress, instead they spawn into a warped fortress. In fact, you can see how there's no Nether fortress in sight, and in fact, wow, even weirder than that, they're just running in a straight line, they're crossing into a basalt delta biome. It's a very confusing thing to watch at first if you're not familiar with the different strategy, but this is really the point of proof that shows just how different things are, because the whole point of the Java run is to travel as fast as they can so they can make a Nether portal and get back to the overworld. You might be able to work out what the difference in strategy is now, but in case you haven't, let's see the difference in stronghold strategy. It certainly is strange to look at here when you see that the Bedrock world returns them straight to where they spawned, and they have to go through, get themselves an extra bed, that's important for both platforms you'll see, get themselves some snowballs, and then dig straight down and find the stronghold. In fact, this is really the slow part of the run when you look at it back, because you're going to see they need to get through this stronghold as fast as possible. This involves placing blocks to do the super fast jumping in 2-block thing, and also they're going to need to craft IF Enders. This doesn't just require a blaze rod, it also requires the ender pearls. Grabbing these from the naturally spawning chests really shows how amazing the seed is, but you're also going to notice how that's still not enough to get this perfect time, because they also craft the IF Enders while mid-jump. This is a really impressive little craft that saves half a second, but that half a second means they can be in the end at 1 minute and 16 seconds, which is pretty good until you see the Java equivalent equivalent, because here's what their stronghold strategy looks like. It is genuinely funny to see by comparison. So on Java, what happens is they go through the Nether from before, doing a little bit of breaking and, keeping the nerves running, and then they break a single stone brick. You want to see that again? They break a single stone brick, and then they, again, get past the lava, which should be there, and jump right into the portal. No lava damage for them, no issues whatsoever, and instead they're right here in the end. It's at this point that it seems impossible that Bedrock and Java can be anywhere close in terms of record, because the Bedrock version of the game is at 1 minute 16, while the Java is at 1 minute and 2. How is there such a discrepancy, given that both versions use the bed because it's the most damage you can do, and on Bedrock the beds actually do less damage? So the way this makes sense, as you can maybe see here, is there's a little bit of a difference on Bedrock, partially because of the fact that the end is slightly different laid out, and partially because of the way that the dragon swoops in for the first time when you go to actually fight her. And this would be mitigated for the fact that the dragon will fly away when you use beds. That is something that is balanced out by the fact that the free beds are used as quickly in succession as they reasonably can be. In fact, even that doesn't make sense though, because free beds is not enough to damage the Ender Dragon. If you look at their damage and you look at the dragon and you look at the way this is done, this only made sense because of those snowballs which were picked up earlier. If we do a replay, you'll notice he throws a snowball at the dragon's neck, then this pickaxe is doing massive damage, and then only after both those things have happened can the free beds finish off the dragon. There are more steps to be done, but as you can see, they're done very quickly, whereas on the Java edition, even though it is technically a little bit easier, I mean, once the view distance is turned down, you can see how the end is a little bit more awkward placed, as you can see. Just having to work around this, it really does take quite a few seconds. It is now that the Java edition has lined up with the Bedrock edition, and although it's slightly closer to the center, the dragon not coming right down really does balance that out. Even though there's less to do here in terms of, actually building those places for the beds and snowballing the dragon head, as you can see, there is time literally spent just waiting for the dragon to fly down. This is actually an incredibly lucky dragon run, because she does stay and does swoop down, which really it can't be overstated. But yeah, at this point, the important thing is just to place down those beds, which can be done without having to do any critical damage. It can be done without having to have this instantaneous timing that is really hard to master. Obviously, the delay is, it kind of works against it for a speedrun, but either way, the dragon is dead, and both versions of Minecraft were beat in approximately 1 minute and 50 seconds. So, without diving into the difference, which version of the game looked like it was faster overall? I mean, obviously, you might have seen the time because it was included on both the runs from LOL869 and from Magnetic maybe, but still, it's not entirely easy to answer which version was faster, at least not to me, and when we dive into why it is that Java is faster, it might get a little bit confusing, because even though 1 minute and 54 seconds passed from when this world was loaded up to when the dragon was defeated, the time for the Java edition run was 1 minute and 49, whereas on Minecraft Bedrock it was 1 minute and 51 seconds. Therefore, according to the speedrun.com leaderboards, Minecraft Java is officially beaten faster than Minecraft Bedrock. There is only 2 seconds in it, of course, so maybe Bedrock can catch up, but wait a minute, we need to really roll back a second and say, wait, what? They're measured entirely differently? It's Minecraft, the same game, with the same goal of beating the Ender Dragon, but they're measured differently? And yes, this is true. Minecraft Java uses something called the in-game time to measure their world records, whereas Minecraft Bedrock uses real time. The difference between the two can be simply explained as when you load up Minecraft and then play 30 seconds, pause the game for a minute, and then come back to it for another 30 seconds, you've had 60 seconds of in-game time actually playing Minecraft, even though 2 minutes have passed in the real time. Or to use an actual example from the run, as you can see at the beginning here, the in-game time and the real time are roughly the same until the Nether is gone to, when there is a quick little pause screen, which of course is not in-game time because you're not playing Minecraft when the Nether is loading. Or are you playing Minecraft? Maybe that's where the debate comes from, because here's the deal. Both systems have their benefit. The game time seems like a crazy measure, but it actually balances for PC performance discrepancies. Having the fastest computer in the world and being able to load the Nether in 0.1 seconds instead of 0.2 isn't necessarily skill, and for the sake of that, why do we care about it for speedrunning? And so that is not included. It's not a thing that matters characters on the Java edition, and also being quick with the game menus isn't being rewarded because it's not a part of beating the game. I don't care how fast you can turn down your render distance, I care about how fast you can pull off this lovely bed technique, or how you can do this amazing jump onto the twisted vine, which is also necessary. And so when you compare this to real time, the benefits of real time are that, well, this is how people measure most things. We don't allow breaks during marathons, even if they're healthier for the competitors, and you couldn't say you built a house in 2 weeks if you spent 3 years in between working out exactly what to do. The balance between them isn't something for me to decide, the respective communities actually do. This is why, even though they both have speedrun.com leaderboards, the respective community for Java have decided that having the game time is a more fair and balanced way to measure things, whereas the Minecraft Bedrock community is all about that real time. And this is a really interesting discrepancy, which means that you can't actually directly measure the two. Both communities have very different rules for what is and isn't allowed, but there are certain sets of mods which are allowed on Java because they don't alter your ability to beat the game. They just make running over and over again a little bit easier, whereas allowing those same mods would actually be really unfair on Bedrock because only some players have access to mods, namely those on PCs, Android devices, and places where they actually access your files, which is a depressingly small percentage of the Bedrock player base, but still, there are lots of things you can't do, and so the fair competitive balance is in making it as vanilla as possible. It is really interesting to see and to talk about and to let these communities debate whether game time or real time is better, but for now, the real competition is in what happens in the future. Both of the runs I showed you today are about a week or two old. They weren't even verified on speedrun.com, as I'm showing you to them in this video, because this is the cutting edge of Minecraft running. People are still working out how to cut seconds off. I mean, beating Minecraft in less than 2 minutes seemed impossible, but the barrier was broken, and now we're seeing the 1 minute 50 barrier be approached too. It is insane that people can beat Minecraft in less time than it probably takes you to craft an iron pickaxe, or if we're being honest, a stone pickaxe on a lazy day. But like, the fact that this is happening shows the insanity and the progress, and it's something that I love to see. It's something I love to comment on, and as a former world record holder for the Bedrock edition, it's something I just love to see. I love the competitiveness, I love the challenge, and I really do have to say congratulations to LOL861 and to Magnetic Maybe for being the absolute kings of your craft at time of recording this video. I love this, I hope you love this, and if you want to see more of this whenever Bedrock perhaps takes over Java, because it looks like it's more and more likely every single week, then let me know in the comments down below, because I love this type of video. If I'm being honest with you, speedrunning is one of my favorite passions to kind of follow here, and let me know what you think, because I'm still working on a fun little new project. I've got a lot of survival stuff that does take a lot of time to work on, but it's happening in the background, and I hope that you're going to enjoy seeing it, because I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!